people really don't care about health. That's been equally proven. My presentation is called The Last 4 Doctors You Will Ever Need. Now, the more unhealthy your body is, the dirtier binocular vision of life are. The 4 doctors, I'm going to list each one on the board and I'll talk about it. Can I use this board?
Yeah, you can erase that. On the floor.
Okay, cool. All right, the first one I'll go over. Now, these are foundation principles, so if you aren't, if you are out on one or not optimal on one foundation principle, it will cause all the other ones to collapse. The first one is Dr. Happiness. Now, this one is a big one. This one, if you don't know if you ask yourself what makes you happy and you can't answer that question, you might want to sit down and look into that. If you do not have a legacy, something like Chelsea here, she presented her legacy, which is awesome. She wants to get into the health and fitness and be on the beach. That's your legacy. So that's what makes you happy. If you know what makes you happy, people that are pursuing their legacy are less often sick, are usually more happy and generally in better health. And I can go on these topics, so I'm just going brief. The next doctor is Dr. Movement. Now, Dr. Movement is exercise, of course, or your daily activities. Your body is a pumping system. So if you're moving, your heart's pumping, so your blood flows faster and it's detoxing in your body. If you're not moving, your body becomes stagnant. And anytime, it's just like water. If you look at the oceans and it becomes stagnant, that's what happens when you go into a greenhouse with that. So that can cause a lot of problems in the body. The third doctor is Dr. Diet. So you are what you eat. You turn over 3 million red blood cells every second, your epidermis every 3 days, and your bones every 3 years, and every single cell in your body every 7 years. So you basically are a new person every 7 years, and that is whatever you eat is exactly what you're making your cells, your muscles, your joints, your blood out of. So if you're not eating optimal food or nutritionally depleted food, it will show up in the body. For example, if you get a blood test and you show up as you are depleted in a certain nutrient, that means your body's so nutritionally depleted that it's showing up in your blood. So it's taking the nutrients out of your body and putting it into the bloodstream. So if you're at that point, that's not a good sign. You don't want to be nutritionally depleted. I'm opening up a cafe. It's called Aquaponics Cafe. I am incorporating diet in a health and fitness environment. So in projecting in 6 months, everyone should look out for that. And everyone will get a Cortiva discount on everything.
For real.
The fourth doctor, this is really, really important. This is Dr. Quiet. Obviously, that is your sleep. Now, how many people go to bed past? How many people go to bed past 10:30? Probably most of you in this room. Now, when you stay up and you're on the computer or on the TVs and computers are flashing strobe lights. And you have what's called cryptophone proteins in your skin. They're receptors in your skin that bind with light and deliver the light to your hypothalamus, which stimulates your sympathetic nervous system, which wakes you up. So you're releasing cortisol at night, which is really bad because those are tissue-destructive hormones, which can break the body down. And at night, you want your repair and growth hormones to be high. And if you're staying up late on TV, your growth hormones are low, so you're not recovering. And can you see how that can be detrimental to the body or bad for the body if you're
on the cellular level,
tissue-destructive state and not repairing?
So falling asleep with the TV on is bad for you.
Yeah.
But you can stay up late without watching TV. That's not bad.
It's not so bad, yeah. And your body works like you have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system. when it's like a seesaw. So when one is high, the other one is low. So and your hormones follow the sun. So when the sun comes up at its peak, your cortisol levels are the highest, which are your stress hormones. When it's at its highest, your parasympathetic nervous system is at its lowest. So your growth and recovery hormones, melatonin, your steroid hormones, all those are at the lowest peak. So if you flip-flop that, if you do it enough times, you're actually going to entrain your body to release hormones exactly how you train it. So if you drink coffee at 6 p.m. and you do that for 7 to 14 days, you just entrain your body to release cortisol even when the coffee is taken away. So you're constantly releasing the stress hormones and the hormones that you want low when you're awake or when you should be sleeping. So if you disrupt any one of these systems, it will affect your entire body. It's like taking a chair and you knock one of the legs off, the chair will collapse.
I got 2 questions on the movement and the sleep.
Yes.
The movement, I mean, I know you're a personal trainer, but is that necessary for movement? Or can, say, a constructor, what's entitled to be a construction worker, would that be sufficient enough for a human being to have movement, massage therapist, so on and so forth? Just somebody that's not even a cop, just somebody that doesn't just sit in an office all day. Would that be sufficient enough?
It would be sufficient, but if it's enough, it really depends. I know in construction it's very laborious.
Right.
So for that type of person, I would work more on like biomechanics, make sure they're doing it optimally. But yeah, if you're a construction worker, you're definitely physically active.
If you're a massage therapist and you book yourself about 4 to 5 appointments a day,
Yeah.
would that be sufficient, or would you still recommend?
You definitely would elevate the heart rate a little bit. You're sweating when you massage too, so it's helping the fluids run through your body.
Okay.
But is it enough exercise? That it depends on your body.
Okay, so it depends on the individual.
Yeah.
And then the thing about the quiet, the sleepiness, because what you're saying is your body releases certain things at the time of day depending on the sun.
Yeah.
So I guess you're saying...
And the moon too, when the moon's high, melatonin is high.
There's a lot of people that work nights. That's their job. So are they sacrificing
They're
certain
sacrificing
things?
their health and well-being for
their labor, their living and everything. Okay.
So is there a time during the day that's best to exercise?
It depends what kind of exercise you're doing. If you're going to go more catabolic. So that I would do in morning, middle of the day. If you're doing more like qigong type exercises or weightlifting but slow pace, breathing with the motion, that's more anaerobic, which is anabolic, which is growth and repair hormones, which are great to do like later in our or early morning.
Thanks.
Kind of going back to what Evan said
Yeah.
about people who work nights or whatever.
Yeah.
If you live in a part of the world where that's towards the poles, where you may not be getting the same amount of sunlight all the time, or where you have a whole day of sunlight, how does that affect? You know how that would affect?
It would definitely have an effect on your body, and as far as how, I'm not really 100% sure. But I mean, if they have less sunlight, they're obviously probably going to release less cortisol.
But then again, the culture is kind of used to it,
Yep.
so
You
it's
can
also
get stimulants like caffeine, sugar. Those also stimulate the sympathetic nervous
Excellent, guys. Let's end about a half hour, and we'll start with Dawn.